Yeah, sometimes the recordings sound like Nick's on a fucking like old timey radio.
Landline.
Yeah,
Which is
calling in.
crazy. There, yeah.
And then like there's
Ooh.
really good days for Ian, and there's days where you're like, yeah, he's on the phone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yes,
And then for
I-
me, it's like it's just whether or not it's quiet or loud, and I always feel like I have to overcompensate everything.
maybe if we all just shout at each other.
Let's
Would that
scream the whole show.
Yeah. Maybe if
I like
we
your
all
eye
just
rolls.
sit really close, like the old days.
Put our
And
mouths
just
right
pray to
next
God
to
no one kicks the
microphone.
mic.
Oh, I missed. Yeah. You put on the amp.
Yeah. And then we get really mad at anyone who kicks the mic.
Fucking
You guys were mad.
no.
Well,
I
no, it's
mean,
usually Ian.
it was supposed to be.
He would
It was
like
me.
cross his legs or not cross his legs, and then like
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That was
Fucking
mad.
Ian's a
rattling
very
that
Ian sounds like a writer when he
Ian.
talks. Like he looks like a writer when he talks. Like he does a lot of hand gestures, open wide.
I bring my glasses all the way down to the end of my nose.
Yeah, I've seen that look before. I don't know. That's a good. You know what? Let's go around and do that. What do we all look like when we talk, according to other people?
Describe it. Describe
Describe
what you're gonna be. What you're gonna want.
Nick, what does Ian look like when he talks?
When he talks, he looks like a guy explaining things to me.
Okay, I know that sounds like a basic answer, but I think Nick has a pretty dead on like. It does feel like Ian is explaining something to you every time.
Like even
I don't hate it. I mean, we became friends just like chatting. So
yes.
Yeah.
Hey, did you know? Can I tell you? Did you know this?
Yeah. Hey, have you heard of this? You heard of this? French Stewart was in a. All right, Ian. What does Nick look like when he talks?
What is Nick? Oh gosh.
There's video footage of me talking.
There is video footage.
Yeah,
you know
but we want to know the perspective of each other, right? Because we're not saying.
I'm good.
Oh. No.
I'm a psychopath.
Do you want to skip Nick and we just go to me?
No, cool. No, go for it. No, I'm joking.
Really? Okay. What I really like about when Nick talks is he will say things that I know are true, but something about it seems like he's just making it up right.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know for a fact.
Sounds like he's making it up.
It's so funny. It's really funny. He'll be repeating something I have said, and I'm like,
and he'll
like
claim
there's no
it to be his own.
Oh my god! Are you? And his body posture looks like he's lying.
And then you like question him on it, and he makes you feel like the biggest piece of shit.
You idiot!
Yeah.
Obviously,
come on, duh.
And he's right. I mean, I logically know he's right.
I don't know. I think the jury's still out.
Nick has like a great posture, very straight, and then he'll kind of like he'll do this thing where if you're let's say we're in the middle of a conversation and he's going to give you a piece of information. Again, you may already know or have confirmed earlier, and he'll like look to the side and then look back at you in that classic what am I gonna make up right now, the true thing, oh shit, and then it's very funny. It's very very funny actually.
Wow.
I do that.
I'm so glad I'm not the only one.
I will say the eye thing I do. I guess I'm kind of aware of that, because especially with the camera there.
Sure.
I'm not supposed to do that. It's unprofessional.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
I don't want you to change a thing, Nick.
We're not doing this to tell people to change. Although maybe one could argue by the act of putting each other on blast, that causes change to occur anyway.
My favorite is.
But then why live life?
Right?
If you're not going to do anything.
I'm sorry, what was that?
What were you going to say?
Oh, no, I was going to say, like, to Ian's point of that distrust, I get that a lot at work, too. Where they say, like, I don't know, like if you're being serious or not, unless you laugh.
I
I
don't. You know what?
I-
I was gonna say something about them, but I'm also like, even I'm not like 100% sure of the time at the time,
yeah,
and I've lived
yeah.
with Nick.
It's so crazy because
How do we know this is real?
Nick is such a good and committed performer in this way. Let me tell you, like he
He's really good deadpan
like
or
5 years.
straight delivery. Yeah.
He like 5 years. I've known him for years and years at this point. Looked at me at one point. I don't remember what you said, Nick, but you said it with such conviction that it was like, oh, I don't think any of that World War II thing happened, right? It was something like that. It was something crazy, and you were like, oh yeah, yeah, and I was, what? And then you laughed, and I was like, oh my god, I would how are you so convincing? I was so ready to believe that
Yeah.
wild thing you just anyway. Yeah.
Again, I think the secret is because if you call him out on it, he makes you feel like a piece of shit. Like it's the worst case scenario. Like there's nothing. There's no way to get out of that situation without it being painful and like just a negative reaction. Unless it's funny.
Man, you're funny.
This is a good
Thank you.
thing we're doing.
It's a good bit.
What's how would you guys describe the way I talk? Keep in mind I'm the host and in charge of this podcast, so
Yeah, I'm gonna plead the
be
fifth on
real
this
nice.
one. I have a real answer and I have a funny answer.
Oh, I
You're
want
fun.
both of them. Do
Oh, I want
both
both.
of them.
Yeah, do both. Do both.
I don't know. Well, I guess it'll be both funny and
Okay.
real. But I do think it's funny when, even when Chris like sincerely asks a question, it sounds like he's kind of interrogating you to know like why you're wrong.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I know that one. I've
It's
had
been
friends
so
call me
like,
out on that, so I try not to do it anymore. Or I try to, or I overcompensate and I go like, "Hey, man, is it? Did you ever give me back those $5? Do you remember?" It'd be a little coy about it because otherwise,
Yeah.
it's more or less like, "Hey, did you give me that 5?"
Yeah.
It
No,
doesn't help. I have RBF, like especially like it's better without it's better with the glasses, but boy, I have a bad case of resting bitch face, dude.
What?
Oh
wait,
sorry,
okay.
Nick, if you have more, go for it, dude.
Yeah, go. You gotta finish. You gotta finish.
I was just gonna say, well, I'll finish it by saying like I don't think anything's wrong with it. It's just funny when like we talked about like not knowing, like let's say first impression.
Oh, I'm really bad at it. I either kill a first impression or it's really bad.
Same. Like
Yeah.
because a lot of the time, again, that's that 100 layers of an inside joke.
Yeah.
And if you were like, "What the fuck's wrong with this guy? He's saying some crazy shit."
Yeah.
No, but I think
I once told a party of people that, hey, watch out for Nick. He has sticky fingers. And then I didn't elaborate.
I do remember that. I do.
And then our mutual friend, I won't say his real name, but he was like, "Chris, shut up! Don't do that." Now, just for clarification, I've never known Nick to steal anything in his life, but I just thought it was a funny thing to say. So, like,
It is.
I think it's hilarious, but again,
Yeah.
they don't know like between us. Yeah.
Okay. Quickly before we shift over, I've got to just share a short story that is true.
Yeah, well, you for sure have to tell me what I sound like when I'm talking.
Yeah, what Chris sounds like.
Oh, yes.
Real quick.
When Chris talks, he sounds like somebody who's just forgot what the idea that he was getting at was, and then we come around to. Well, that's sometimes. I think also I mean, I feel like you have a lot of modalities. One of my favorite ones
Okay.
is where you do actually know the point, and we're having a very fun time taking a joke there.
Yeah, I
You'll
like beating around the bush.
you'll tease out this idea that you know I'm already excited to hear, and then take me. No, we're going around the side. Actually,
We're not
you
gonna do that.
know, I do appreciate that because it does build natural tension into the conversation. It's great.
Yeah, I'm really good at that. Like that's something that's something I found out when I was doing theater in high school. Is that I can create like an undertone of like tension and conversation real quick.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not afraid to keep building on it to the point where it's exhausting. It's exhausting to talk to me
But
if I'm doing it.
hmm
it depends if you're ready for the like. I think
If you're ready for the
it reads as
punchline.
either it's a crazy good bit. It's like a
Yeah.
bit that you've commit. I mean, and we're I think also now at an age where like we've had years long bits like that we've
Yeah.
committed to. So in that
Especially
way,
history. It's really bad.
yeah, yes.
I get what you're saying with the modal part, though. I am very much like I'll go into different modes depending on who's talking, or just for the bit, just to be like, yeah,
It's
I'll do
and
a
it's always
character.
it's a good strong choice with your
Yeah,
characters. I enjoy it. I
I like doing characters a lot. Like we were playing for example, we were playing a board game with a bunch of people over the
Mhm.
weekend, and I fucking hate playing board games with people. Uh,
Yeah.
or I have not people in general, but like, um, it's probably just this board game. It's called Q's and Q's. I fucking hate that game.
Uh-huh.
And we were playing it, and all of a sudden I started doing this bit where I was like, okay, I'm not gonna say because you have to describe a color without saying anything that sounds like a color. So
Mhm.
I'd give like word hints, and I'd be like, we're connected. Our mind is melding to the point where I started talking like our mind is melded together, and we're gonna figure this out. But see, can't you think of the right color when I say a lightless Eva? And I can only give two words. We're melded. You can't. You're just not reading the vibes.
Mhm.
And I would
Mhm.
talk like that. It was really annoying, but I thought it
Uh,
No,
ah.
that's what.
Oh, go ahead. Nick.
That's I was gonna say like, so that's what I kind of with Chris is like the jokes get so inside that it would just intentional not like mess with people.
Yeah.
yes. Yes.
And when he says something really mean, I don't know why I think it's so funny when it's so sad, like they're concerned about me.
I do think that's really like people. If I haven't heard you do one in a minute, but like he'll say something that just sounds wild about his brother, and then the
Like
people
sticky
look kind of
fingers.
horrified.
Yeah. To be fair, there's no one else I do that with, so hey.
That's healthy.
Yeah, that's good.
It is, because that
It is.
means
No, it
our
is. It is.
relationship is at that level.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
As
Uh-huh.
opposed to I'm just going around to people in the world going, hey, watch out for that dude. He's got sticky fingers, and then leaving stores or something.
Oh yeah, just just gaslight.
Everybody,
Cause like
watch out!
mayhem.
Watch out for my sister. She's got a penchant for poisons.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
Just get
unproven.
my ass fucking kicked, dude.
Mhm.
Uh,
Oh, speaking of ass kicking, we gotta talk
mhm.
about this movie.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
please.
Because it kicks ass. It kicks a
It in
lot of
fact
ass. It
does.
takes names. Mad
It
Max Fury Road is what we're talking about
oh,
today.
an amazing flick, guys.
I
I love this movie. Oh my
I
god.
love this movie. I love this movie so much. It's in my top 10 movies of all time. So
Mm.
bias incoming with our descriptions. But how about y'all? How do y'all watch the movie when it
Yeah,
came out, right? Like I feel like we talked about in the old podcast, but I couldn't remember.
we probably did. I
Yeah.
mean, it was 2015, so we were recording out by then.
Yeah, we were recording around that time. Nuts,
I
because this movie is 10 or this movie is 10 years old, almost 10
it really
years old,
is. It really
which
is,
is
guys.
bullshit.
Yeah.
Because I was in college when this movie came out.
Oh my god. I was in college when this film came out. Jesus, this is oh my god. I think we're gonna talk a little bit about what we knew going into it, maybe.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
beforehand. What
We can just hop
who
right.
has
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah. Who wants to jump in and start that off? Like Chris, what you were a fan of Mad Max as before that, right?
Yes. So let's jump into then the rising action, or everything we knew about the movie before going in, which is a lot because I love this movie as mentioned before. I love the franchise, although I haven't watched the original 3 in a in a while, maybe since when this came out. So my
Okay.
memory for a lot of that stuff is gone.
Mm-hmm.
But I was, as to Ian's point, like big fan in high school. I really liked the world. Love the bits. I'm a Road Warrior guy. Although Thunderdome is really good. Thunderdome's a lot of fun. And yes, the first Mad Max I do think is the weakest. This is where he introduces that character, but once you get past that, like Lord Humongous shows up in Road Warrior, and that's the sickest shit.
Yeah.
It also helped that I had been off roading for a while when I watched the trilogy, so all that's with me. So, like
Okay.
all that car knowledge, or at least like off roading knowledge. Even though I'm not big on cars now, but whatever. So huge Mad Max fan. When this movie was announced, even though it had the original director George Miller, I was a little skeptical because it's an '80s thing to bring him back, and like I was in college, I'm like, yeah, I'm already 10 years ago. I was already done with that shit. Where I was like, can we move on from the '80s, or like, I'm always gonna prefer new stuff, right? Brand new. And this movie's so fucking good and so far above the rest of the Mad Max trilogy that to me it might as well have been new. Like, it blew my mind in theaters. I was such huge. I felt like a child. Like I wanted the bed sheets, the comic books, the folders. I wanted to go to school in Mad Max attire. I want a race car bed that was shaped like one of the vehicles, specifically the Bullet Farmer. Oh my god. So I saw it twice that weekend when I first saw it. So Saturday, and then I went back the next day. And I don't do that for movies, as we've like talked about. I fucking hate going to movie theaters.
Yeah.
Like 99% of the time, I didn't care, man. And then I had caught it late, so the next weekend I went again to go watch it
Oh my god.
with a different group of people to be like, you guys gotta watch this fucking movie. This fucking movie's killer. And then watched it with another group of friends like the day after at the like $1 theater.
Oh wow.
So I saw it 4 times in the span of like 2 weeks.
Okay.
In movie theaters. So then I bought the black and white edition, or the shiny and chrome edition, which I have watched. And I think while there are scenes I like a lot in black and white, especially when they do like a lot of character stuff, a lot of the zoom in on faces, that's very old school.
Yes.
With like the wind blowing, especially with like Immortan Joe and the Bullet Farmer. I think those look incredible in black and white. However, I like the use of colors.
Same.
Way more. So overall, I would just say go with the original. You can't. That can't be beat. So I knew a lot of stuff going in. Like I said, also liked Happy Feet, Babe in the Big City, Happy Feet 2. George Miller directed right before this.
Yeah.
So no, I was a big Mad Max fan. Love Mad Max. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So super biased when we were watching this movie again. But I got to show it to my sister and her boyfriend. They had never seen it.
Nice.
So that was cool. That was cool to be like, hey, this movie I've never shut up about. here it is,
Hold on.
and they both loved it.
Like-
So
Is it good?
Sweet.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, what'd you all think? What did you all know before going in?
Nick, what did you know?
I knew that Mad Max
Yeah.
is a series
Mm-hmm.
about a guy named Max,
Mm-hmm.
and he is not mentally well,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mhm.
and he is
Okay.
a road warrior.
Indeed.
Indeed,
There's a lot of assless chaps out there in the desert.
that's right.
Well, that's the apocalypse, buddy. Woof. That's the
I
Sweat
apocalypse.
on the
watched.
shins, but not on the buttocks.
I mean, even then, back then, I watched the trilogy of Mad Max films. So up to Thunderdome, even like I played that. I'm trying to see if trying to remember if it came out before or after Rage,
Oh,
the game
before.
Rage. I saw for I think it's
I think it's
before.
09.
09. Yeah.
Dang.
So I don't know. Like I've always had an interest in
They're
like post-apocalyptic wastelands. I think
You're fine.
that's always kind of been like a staple with especially like in the 2000s
Yeah.
with a lot of
Yeah.
anime. They always had like the desert.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, for
like
anyone, we might get into it later. Like Japan fucking loves Mad Max. In fact, some of your favorite animes are inspired by Mad Max.
I
Yeah.
think
Beer at home.
that we should get into that, especially in the recommends even at the end.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, Nick. Go on.
No, yeah, and on that like it's kind of always same with Blade Runner, same with like some of those just some of the most influential like
Mhm.
sci-fi and like dystopian like stories, and just how much of an original concept Mad Max was, especially at that time,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and sort of how it's carried forward, and kind of how I end up watching a lot of stuff that inspired, and then later on with Fury Road, like a genuine sequel. So that's kind of what I knew going in. I didn't know what the actual story was gonna be. Like I didn't see any trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that
It's
Chris
way
saw it
deeper than
like
you think it would be.
yeah. Chris saw it like a bunch of times, and then I watched it with him one of the times, and then I watched it. I think I watched it 2 times in theaters.
Okay.
One with
Okay.
Chris, and then one with friends I remember in college. But yeah, that's what I went. That's kind of like where my knowledge was before watching Fury Road.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
How about you, Ian?
So I remember you talking about it and being excited about it at the time.
Yeah.
And the other thing I do remember, it's funny that you guys brought up anime because there was a point where it was gonna be Happy Feet, like a 3D animated movie, possibly.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I do remember that, and the other thing I remember is them asking whether classic Mad Max is too old to do it, and they were all like, "Yes, yes, yes, he is." And
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson, yes,
No,
classic.
he was
Mad
already
Max.
too old then.
He was super old. And yeah. Um, and then with the one other thing that I remember happening, kind of, I think I was on Twitter. How sad. I'm sorry, everyone. I think I was on Twitter at that time, and I do remember like Fury Road being talked about in that same kind of, we hate new Ghostbusters, but not because it's bad,
Was that
because
around that
ladies.
time?
Ghostbusters came out, I think, about a year after that, after
Oh,
Fury
okay,
Road.
okay,
But
but it's the same. It's the same, like fucking complaint.
it's the same. It's the same, guys. Kids.
That
If you're a
movie's
little,
not great for a whole bunch of different reasons, but
but it's
like,
not the ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, it was around that time. It was around the Vine period. Vine
okay.
Vine was a short-lived website that we
Oh
all
my
thought
god,
was
don't
last
explain it, old man. Come on. They can look it up. It was TikTok before TikTok. That's all you gotta know.
and then it died too, man. So
It died a quick death.
a really
Thank God.
abrupt, yeah,
Real abrupt.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Anyway,
Anyway, back when I was still frequenting You're the Man Now Dog.com.
when I was,
And he was gonna fight the guy who owned E-Bombs World. And
Oh
they
my
were both
God.
assholes, but we were kind of wanting the You're the Man Now Dog guy to win and E-Bombs World guy to lose because that dude was worse.
I was really stuck on "Oh No You Didn't" for all the breaking gossip out of Hollywood. It was that was a website. Go on the Wayback Machine. Anyway, I watched this movie 2 times in the theater. Also,
Yeah.
I really liked it. And then I feel like what happened is I heard from Chris that he had watched it more than once in the theater, and I thought, yeah, it was actually pretty good. I might do that myself.
Yeah.
And I did, and yeah, it was even better the second time. I remember it just kind of catching. It's really it's a well thought out movie. It's a beautifully shot movie,
so
and
tight.
it's
like it just
and-
goes, man. Like it doesn't stop.
and
Literally,
and
a car doesn't stop. Even when the car stops, it's not stopping. Like,
well, George Miller said that he wanted a full movie car chase. I think
He
one of
fucking
the
got it.
goals. He got it. He nailed it.
he nailed it.
It's mostly car chasing, and then sometimes we take a break, and then we keep
But
getting
there is a car chasing.
Always,
Even when you're
yes.
taking a break, there's still so much tension. Like in the
Yes. I mean, yeah, loved George Miller's stuff.
Yeah.
I came to it through Chris. I would say I like when Fury Road was the first Mad Max I saw. I then went back.
Really? Okay, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
And I put off watching the first one for another like year and a half. I watched
It's
2
very
and
different.
3.
You're watching a young George Miller.
Yeah. Yes. And it's rougher, and I think I needed a little bit of like honestly my own kind of maturity to be able to sit with that material and really like,
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like take it in, give it its due without saying, "Oh God, it's so rough." You know.
Yeah, it's really that first one's like I'm not even gonna front, like most of it's boring. Like everything to do with that first one. Other than like the ideas, right, presented at you. And you kind of got to go in, especially nowadays, going like, this was like the first of its kind. Like, no one else was going this hard at the moment, except maybe Blade Runner, which I think came out later.
That's like a decade later.
Yeah, it's like a decade later. You wouldn't get another thing that goes so hard with its setting with that, like, that immersion.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel like Mad Max 1 is so early in the 80s, it's almost the 70s. It's like 82 or 80.
It's 81, I think.
81. Okay.
I'll double check, but keep going.
So I mean, yeah, that's kind of my coming into this movie. Like I was pumped for it, and I was well aware that there were people who were going to be dunking on the movie, not for artistic reasons, but for like annoying internet factionalism.
1979. That's when the first one came out.
79 shit. Okay.
Fucking crazy.
That's wild. Wild. But yeah, that's my setup before we get into
So did
the
you
story.
ever watch the other two, like Road Warrior and Thunderdome? Beyond Thunderdome.
I've definitely seen Thunderdome. I'm not sure if I watched Road Warrior. Oh my God, Tina Turner.
It's a villain.
Tina Turner.
Well, quote unquote villain, but
yeah, you know,
comes out. Thunderdome.
Thunderdome.
So you will have to watch those two eventually.
I will.
Did you find it confusing when you saw Tina Turner singing after Thunderdome?
Yes. Why is she? How is she able to? I don't know. She's a
When I was a kid, I saw it and I was like, man, she killed a lot of people. She killed a lot of children.
No, because I think I was familiar with the singing before Thunderdome.
Oh,
And then I
okay.
was like,
It was
wow,
the
that's a
opposite.
weird thing that she's in Thunderdome.
It's fucking that is weird.
Go to
Road
concert. I'm
Warrior's
like
sick,
Thunderdome brought me
though.
here.
Hmm?
Road Warrior has Lord Humongous.
Humongous.
Yeah, it's a good name.
Ah,
Good name. All right. Well, that was everything we knew about Bam Max Fury Road before going in. So let's actually
Mhm.
talk about it.
ye-
We're already at 30 minutes, so fuck us when we talked about last podcast tightening the
Real
structure.
quick.
But then I
we're
chose this movie because Furiosa comes out in a month,
yeah,
and we will
yeah.
be watching that. So
Very excited for it.
I'm so
Yeah.
excited. I hope it's good. God, man, I hope it's fucking good. It's
We're-
that okay. Okay, so I just want to talk real quick. I
Yes.
forgot to have this conversation with my sister, but I was talking about how much I liked the trailer except for the music.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a trailer thing. Yeah,
Yeah, it's the Warner Bros thing. Songs slow down. It's not a bad version of it, but like
it's kind of in character, but
yeah,
still.
it it is and it isn't, right? Because like
Yeah.
Fury Road is this crazy. The soundtrack is this crazy transition, like blending and transitioning between like classical, almost like Tchaikovsky style, where it's just really impending, like orchestral music
Mhm.
that always feels like impending doom, but like in building grandiose scenes.
Mhm.
And then just nicely transitions to fucking like percussions and guitar, like really
Yeah.
just rough sounding, and it works so goddamn well in that movie.
Yeah.
It's so fucking good. Oh my god, some of those, like, I'm thinking of when they're doing the zoom out shot to show the dust storm, right? Because you're moving away from the caravan and from the guitar.
Mm.
And I call it I don't know what the actual name of the truck is. I always call it the drummer boy because that's what that is. But as you pull off from that, and it's pulling into this crazy grand like orchestral piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so good. So when I'm hearing like a pop song, well, not a pop song, it's like "The Man Who Sold the World" from Nirvana. But like when I'm hearing that song, I'm like, oh, you could have. I know it kind of sounds like an engine starting up, but
Mhm.
you could have
So,
done
Chris.
something really fucking cool,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Like something cool and original. But anyway, we get into the movie.
Ye-
As Ian said before,
Mhm.
um, this movie is one long car chase, and you
No.
begin not knowing it's a car chase. Just they're all getting. Well, you start off with Max, right? Because we haven't seen him since '85,
Yeah.
which is just when Thunderdome came out.
Mhm.
And getting a little like, okay, you know he's mentally unwell. He eats that two-headed lizard, but also kind of shows like the brutality of the desert and all that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then you get a shot that's in, you get a sequence that's in almost every Mad Max movie where there's a sequence the movie moves at like 1.5 speed or what, or like everything moves at 1.25 or 1.5
Yeah.
to create this frantic thing. And like, man, just I've talked about it before in different stuff, but I'm such a huge fan of when characters are going through a bunch of rooms and each one's so different
Oh.
than the
Oh.
last.
Yes. Yes.
And it tells you so much about the world, which is what you get in this first chase scene
Mhm.
onto the thing. How'd you all feel about it? How'd you feel about Max's introduction in this, especially you, Ian, because that was your first time, right? Like
I
originally.
mean, yeah, this was my original introduction to Max as played. It was Tom Hardy was my first Mad Max. I I think that you're right. Like this movie wastes no time in establishing clear characters, and I mean you get this. It's very interesting because everything is both terrifying and beautiful at the
Yeah.
same time.
Oh yeah, I love it.
And that's just kind of this continuing theme. Like you start in that underground cave system where humans are like blood tides up in the caves and
Yeah.
replenishing these young boys' blood system. That's
Mhm.
I understood it to be like radiation poisoning treatment, like they're being irradiated and getting blood transfusions, I guess. To
Yeah, it's not, well, okay, so I always interpret it as they're just out in the sun all day. So
okay,
it's like cancer.
Mm.
It's just cancerous tumor. But it could be radiation. Although there's nothing really, cuz they're not on the oil farm.
True.
They're just with the water, which is like the three farms, right? Water, oil,
Mhm.
and bullets. That's what you need in the in the Mad Max world
Yes.
for materials.
Mhm.
Oh,
Um so I always interpret it as sun like stuff, right?
okay.
Radiation. Plus like there's obvious inbreeding going on.
Oh yeah.
There's not that many
Oh,
people, so health stuff's going to go down.
the the character who I think is supposed to be the Lord's brother. There's like
No, that's his
this little
son.
the little dude in the
The
thing.
rectus.
Oh, you knew exactly who I meant. Yes.
The dude with the breathing tubes in his nose, right? With the engine on his back?
The
Or
one
the
who's
smaller
in
character?
the small guy who's in the little white pod that like
Yeah.
moves around.
Oh my god, I
Uh,
forget his name. I used to know the actor's name too.
I
But keep going.
that character is astounding, guy. Just
Yeah.
visually, and then once you step into that reality of whatever the dialogue that that actor has to kind of
Mm.
set the scene of something's been taken from the Lord, like you're immediately injected into like, okay, this is a full like structured society that has its own inside workings, and you feel it immediately like um, a competent world builder has just kind of laid out a reality in front of you. I
Yeah.
guess it's what I'm feeling in that scene. What about you guys?
Oh yeah, no, scene established.
Yeah.
Scene established, you know exactly what our character is going through right now. He's been captured. Plus, like, it goes with the thing that Mad Max kind of goes with, which is after the first one, it's an Odyssey story, essentially. It's our character, Mad Max, going through the world, going through the
Hmm.
setting established, and adventures happen to him.
Yes.
Right. Nick, what did you think? What did you think about the whole intro sequence?
No, I loved it. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was like you said, it's probably like one of the most efficient introductions of the character because it is also taking into fact just how many years have passed.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like with Samurai Jack season 5, right? Like the whole like the way they do the intro is kind of pretty much that. Like
Oh yeah.
you just see how much time has passed with him and how much he's kind of learned, but how like kind of off he is.
Mm-hmm.
You
At
know,
least like that's reminds me of yeah.
I really like that comparison. I was just gonna say, like, I think that's a fairly apt one, actually. Just as far as it being such a physicalized performance that is all I like. I mean, they speak, they have dialogue. Mad Max is more grumbly in
Yeah.
this, less just.
So I
He's,
yes, I was thinking about that. And how do you guys feel about? Well, we'll get into it how we felt like it played in the movie, but like logically, like movie logic,
Mhm.
I felt like that was because he hasn't had water up until the point where he has water,
True.
Yeah.
and he went through a dust storm,
Yeah.
uh, a sandstorm, just bare, right,
True.
and wakes up in sand. So that's how I always interpret it.
Okay, I like
Techno.
that. I just I didn't think this when I initially watched it. I'll just say, like, Mel Gibson is Australian, and you can tell he's an Australian. He's very
Yeah, yeah.
Australian, and,
Mhm.
I agree.
and
Mhm.
I don't know, but I mean, I'm not so bothered by it. Like, I feel like, oh
Yeah.
shit, I'm sorry. One sec. Hold for train.
Yo, what's up?
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, okay.
um, I like this performance. I think that it's kind of more so akin to like a James Bond at this point, where a franchise can
Yeah.
kind of shift over and
Absolutely.
center a new actor, and I like that very much about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I dig him. I think the more I got used to it, I was like, yeah, I do like him as a Mad Max. But it might be because everyone else is so goddamn interesting.
Yeah.
By the way, the character you were looking for is named Corpus Colossus.
That's
It's
so fucking dope.
it's played by Quentin Kenahan.
Quentin, you're a star. Quentin, you made that part. You made the intro for me. Oh my god.
with the seeing eyeglass, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watching as Furiosa drives away with
Yeah.
some cargo. Yeah.
Yeah, so we get into so let's just go on to that scene, which is them driving away.
Sure.
We get a look into the society as the war boys are chanting.
Mhm.
Which I have a funny story about that. I might tell that if we have enough time at the end of the podcast.
Okay.
But I used to watch this movie enough that I knew the chant by heart. To get gasoline and like all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, they're loading up. They're gonna go get gasoline. Furiosa's carrying stuff, and like you don't really, you just assume she's trusted, which you find out like this is like her first run, like later on in
Yeah.
the movie,
Yeah.
through like some dialogue. But you're also getting introduced to like the terminology in the world because everyone's talking different, and it's very
True.
much like these weird, like it's what happens when people say words enough times they kind of change, right?
Yeah. It's
So
far
plus the
enough in the future for like a dialect shift.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's kind of not. It's kind of like this weird combination of like it's kind of it's not dumbed down, I guess, reduced,
Mm.
but like it's also kind of beautiful. Like it flows together. Like
Yeah.
this there's almost like this Shakespearean quality of it, right? Like almost iambic pentameter, where it kind of just everything has a rhythm
Mm-hmm.
to it, and it matches with the action on scene because the action is also going at rhythm.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just so fucking cool. Like it's such a good immersion thing, and it's simple enough that you pick up on it, right? Like pretty
Yeah.
quick. Gasoline, that's fucking it's gasoline. But then there's a
Yeah.
cool line where it's like, I promise, like later on in the movie, if you take the 162 days that way, I promise you all you're gonna find is salt. Which is
Mm.
like, oh, that's the ocean.
Yeah.
The ocean's
Yeah.
gone. Yeah, that's right. Um, but yeah, it's a cool thing of setting up, and then Furiosa starts off, and then yeah, we find out something's amiss, and then we get the war boy rigging up their cars, and the chase
Yeah.
begins.
Yeah.
And then we get introduced to Nux, who between Nux and Furiosa, they're like the two real main characters of the story.
And now Nux
Mhm.
is Nicholas Holt's character.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, my sister was blown away that he was in this fucking movie.
Well, yeah, he's been busy in the last decade or
He
so, I
sure
would say.
has. Zoe Kravitz is in this movie. I forgot that was Zoe Kravitz.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Oh man. Um. Yeah. So we get his, and he's hooked up. You finally see what they're being used for. What that medical like prescription was tattooed onto Max's bag
Yes.
or info, and then yeah, they're being used as blood bags, which is what they call
Yes.
them. For
Uh,
really.
and 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 you start to. I mean, I felt like within the first or second scene of the War Boys and seeing that whole, that setup, you kind of get, okay, there's like a lot of Norse Valkyrie kind of imagery being
In terminology being
implemented,
thrown around. Yeah.
like the Odin and the as I think they talk about going to Valhalla or
Oh,
things like that.
Ride the Fury Road to Valhalla is the name.
Yes.
Well, in fact, like Nux's character is introduced as having a death wish. Because he's going to die. His two tumors are acting out.
Yeah.
Which is why he's constantly on blood, and he's on the. He's called a waxing corpse by the organic mechanic, which is a great name for a fucking doctor.
Oh my god.
And yeah, he knows his time is up soon,
Mhm.
and he
Mhm.
wants to die in battle, like
Glorious battle.
Yeah, glorious battle to achieve. Oh, we didn't talk about the water thing. Yeah, the water.
Yeah. Shit.
So as we mentioned, there are 3 farms: water,
Bullets.
bullets, and gasoline.
Yeah.
This is the water one, the most important one, probably. It's life.
It's the line from Immortan Joe that this is the line from the movie I probably quote the most often, which is, "Do not become addicted to the water, brothers."
Yeah.
It's such
It'll
a fucking.
consume you.
It will consume you. It's such. Oh my god, quality.
Such a good. What a villain, right? Like established.
Yeah.
You don't need to question anything. That is a villain. That is
Yep.
he has control over the resources. Evil man.
And that when he distributes them, he does it the most inefficient way. Just turning
inefficient, grandiose way.
Yep.
And you can see the hold he has on everyone, right? It is almost like deific.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely so.
Yeah. So then the chase starts.
Yes.
And it's sick. It's small thing. It's a small starter where since they're off road, people are gonna try to take their supply line.
Mm-hmm.
And just having that car sequence already with that crazy VW with spikes on it.
Yeah.
Oh, so sick.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the fucking 360 car flip into the pit. Exploding. And the explosions are real. They're all fucking.
Oh yeah, worth saying is this movie I would say is like 95% all practical.
There's CG to add like more cars into like the wider shots. And then of course
also
Charlize Theron has her arm.
Yes, and they also erased tire tracks so that you didn't see. We did that like 3 or 4 times before we got it right. But I mean, the practical effects I think shine in this. They're beautiful, wonderfully executed.
I'll get into the 2 big ones that are astonishing once we hit them.
Well, and we definitely have to talk about more about the musical, like the fire breath scene, because I think that's amazing, practical.
What's his name? Do you know his name?
I know you know his name.
I know, but Nick, do you know his name?
I'm going blank.
Sorry. The Doof Warrior.
Doof Warrior.
Doof Warrior.
Name of the guitarist. And here is the backstory you only hear in the art book for Mad Max Fury Road, where he learned guitar from his mother, because in the village they used to live in, his mother was the only person I think like that anyone can know that knew how to play that instrument.
Okay.
So he learned it from her, but then one day the village was raided and burned down, and she died with it. All that left was like her corpse. So the kid took her skin and guitar and used that skin to mask his face, which is why when he pulls off the filter, he has no eyes, and it's all pulled back like skin over his eyes. And you only get that in the art book.
That's
You're not
fucking
told
amazing.
that in the movie.
Well,
by the way, that guitar works.
Really? That's like actually practically working.
It sounds like shit.
Oh, okay.
The guy, the guitarist, who's an Australian guitarist, talked about it, where he was like, it was the worst sounding instrument he had ever played.
Oh, okay.
And but it was the coolest fucking thing because it actually shot fire.
Yeah, that's fucking yeah.
So who fucking cares?
And it's got like a satellite dish of amps set up behind it as well.
Yeah,
like it's amazing.
So good, dude. Yeah. It's my second favorite car in the movie.
Okay.
We'll have to do that at the end. Rank our cars.
Let's get back to where we were. Where in the story are we now?
Yeah, we're running out of time. Okay, so car chase is going on. The caravan is caught up with them. The war party, as I'll call it. So now we've already found out, like, Fury Rosa has betrayed them. And we get the scene of someone crawling out of the tank, and they're dressed so fucking different. They look so different from everyone we've seen in the movie. They're all like these beautiful women that have been kept by Immortan Joe, as we find out later, for as breeders.
Oh, that's so brutal.
It's
And
so yeah. After you see the mother's milk thing, holy shit, I didn't even talk about that. But like,
have we mentioned the graffiti on the vault wall where they were kept?
who
There was
killed the
like
world? No, we haven't
who
mentioned
killed?
it.
Okay,
I forget the first one. There's one before that.
it's
But
something about
implying
owning
like,
people.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's something implying like how wrong it is. You can't own people or something like that, right? Something to that effect.
Yeah, you can't have control. It's not we who should suffer for the past generation's mistakes, especially like men.
Yeah,
As we get into,
yeah,
this is a very feminist movie. As
yeah.
it's one, yes, it is globally conscious and it's an environmentalist movie at the beginning, but like that layer underneath is no, this is a feminist movie
Hmm.
about like changing the world. It's about changing societal like hierarchies. All told through cars and explosions and fight. Okay. Yeah. So, but it also that scene also implies like, yeah, knowledge is what set them free
Yes.
because they're so entranced with it, and like the mother, the person leading the person who was touching him has that gun. Which,
Yeah.
by the way, I can't believe she didn't shoot Immortan Joe like just right out of the gate. But I'm gonna chalk it up to she wanted to say something, right? Because she
She's
takes
been
the shot.
she's been holding that in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
wants to. She wants to say something, which is ultimately her undoing.
Yeah.
But she's kept alive because, like, I guess it's that thing. Again, this is a horrible thing, but this is the world it's in. Women are rare
Yeah.
in this society. Oh, and she has all those tattoos, right? I didn't pick up on that until this time. Her
Mhm.
tattoos, I always felt like that was part of the textbooks, like she was, or knowledge she had learned,
Mhm.
something like that. I don't know, but I would have to double check. Um, but yeah, as they've been kidnapped, and Zoe Kravitz is the actor I'm remembering off the top of my head, as well as like three other are like, yeah, you gotta hide in there. Yeah, I know you can't breathe, but like, yo, there's a war party chasing us, and now the people in this caravan
Mhm.
want to kill us, type deal.
Yeah.
So we get into that, but it's nice. It's a nice stark like contrast because it immediately grabs your attention, and it's introduced in such an interesting way, like
Mhm.
because it's so cool. A lot of this movie is gonna have things where like people have to work around the truck,
Yeah.
and all the
Yeah.
stunts are around there, around a moving like platform,
Vehicle. Yeah. Yeah.
which makes great action. But yeah, so we find out there, Max has gotten onto uh no. He comes with he's picked up by the war party, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because then they're taken with Nux. Because then they're taken into the storm.
Yes.
Which, by the way, that whole fucking shot is like amazing.
Yeah. It's the it's crazy how brilliant they get so much rich color out of desert.
Yeah.
Like it could very easily be bland visually,
Oh,
but
you can absolutely do it that way.
not a single moment of this. Like the sand is always red, vibrant orange.
Yeah.
There's always something kind of fat, and like the storm is like running into a galaxy almost. It feels so colorful. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love in a positive way. Absolutely.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So we get. Wait, is that before or after they go through the canyon? It's the canyon first.
I think Canyon second, isn't it?
Is
They
it?
go through the canyon. Max is in the truck with them, right?
Yeah, Kane
Yeah.
second.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. They all have to hide.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we get into the we go we have that grandiose shot which is immediately undercut by the people of this world, the Nexus Lancer slamming the truck going fuck it. It's so good. It's so fucking good.
Hmm.
Man, that storm sequence is fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's so visually fucking cool. Cars are flying. People are flying through. Lightning is hitting. And it's like this really violent feeling lightning because the whole
Yeah.
screen flashes.
Yeah.
It feels like, you know what it feels like? It feels like lightning in like in like black and white movies where
Yeah.
like they would just have to put a flash on the screen and then like bang a piece of sheet metal.
Yes.
Until you get that nice flare shot where they're all cut out. And
Mhm.
then yeah, Max waking up to the scene of everyone rinsing off the truck and like essentially bathing themselves in water.
Yes. Yes. And then Max has to double barrel shotgun
Oh
Charlize
yeah, that
Theron.
fight is so good.
Oh,
We
so
talked
good.
about before. We like the fights where there's more than just two people fighting, right? It almost becomes Jackie Chan esque where they're using the very just limited stuff in the environment.
Yes, yes. Fighting with the environment that you have at hand. So
Yeah.
it feels very real, very grounded in that
Oh
way.
yeah, it starts off a one-on-one fight, but then you have another person wake up and interpret the scene a certain way and help out Max, which is Nux. And Nux
Mhm.
just being like, "Yeah, man, we fucking did it. We got him." After the thing, that shot, the
Oh,
way
yeah.
he uses that gun at the end is so good. Just to blow out her ears,
Oh my god, yes.
it's so
Yes.
fucking impactful. And like with the sand exploding, it's so cool. Feel free to stop me, you guys, if I'm just kind of like barreling through. I'm just looking at time. Uh,
No, I mean we just want to hit those next big scenes definitely.
all right. So let's skip to the canyon scene, which I know has been like studied for. This is kind of where you see like the core of the like directing style in this movie, which is you
Yeah.
follow motion a
Yeah.
lot because you'll have
Yeah.
motorcycles appear like from off screen, follow that, and then like your eyes will be pointed at a certain point in the screen, and another thing happens in there.
Yes.
Which, yeah, as you see with the motorcycle, which are fucking cool, man. Like the motorcycles throwing grenades in the air.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Honestly, it's pretty
Yes.
fucking rad. And then you find out like how she would have been able to do this, which is she made a pact with these guys to deliver gasoline, but that obviously goes south because of the war party.
Yes. Yeah.
They're able to lose them. They blow up that giant tank of gas. At the end, it closes the canyon, giving them some space.
Mhm.
Up until like the truck is able to pull over, and then they're able to clear the canyon.
Mhm.
And then we get into the night shot, which is really cool. They do that blue thing, which
Day for
yeah,
night,
things they
but it
shot
looks
during the day,
amazing.
but
Yeah.
oh, sorry, what was
Yeah.
that?
I was saying, yeah, I think the day for night in this does look amazing because it's so the night is always blue. Like,
Yeah,
are we coming up on the scene in the swamp? There's one point where they do
it's right
pass.
after.
Okay, okay.
Right
Oh,
after.
I love that color palette that they use for
Yeah,
that kind of middle of the movie. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so love it. You don't even mind because it matches like the rest of the action so well. And then we
Yeah.
get introduced to my favorite side character, the Bullet Farmer, which is an old man covered in bullet bandoliers, including a hat.
Yep.
It's like, and what is my favorite car in that movie, which is that or that Mustang,
Yeah.
Ford Mustang, just with fucking tank tracks, allowing it to drive anywhere. Oh my god, dude, that car is so fucking cool. It's
Yeah.
just this old man with bullets for teeth.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And his
it's
scene is so
Christmas.
fucking cool. He gets like this rad he gets like right at the Valkyries at the beginning of it as his theme.
Mhm.
As he start just that of him shooting bullets and like people going, "What the fuck are you doing?" It's like, "I'm probing." Which his guns are shaped like water dousers. I don't know if that was on purpose, but that's what it reminded me of.
Mm.
where
Mhm.
he was kind of doing it like the way people douse for water.
Mhm. Mhm.
Which yes, I know it's bullshit, but I'm just going with the movie thing. And
It fits the world. It fits
yeah,
the
it
world
fits the world.
perfectly.
It fits super well.
Out of everything, that's not the craziest.
That's the
Yeah.
craziest thing. And the flare looks really good when he's holding it to his eyes, and it's this weird moment of comedy. With as he gives that speech where he's like, it's not I am the angel of death, it's something like that, like the dealer of death.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
he's just cut off halfway, but you can hear him in the distance fucking yelling. By the way, that's something we haven't talked about yet. There's some really good moments of comedy in here
Oh yeah.
that just work with the world, which is one is that, two is the whole buildup of Nux jumping onto the truck and fucking it up.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so which is so funny. You appear Valhalla, shiny and chrome type deal. Which reason I bring up later is because like we find out he's kind of like now depressed because of Morton because he embarrassed himself in front of Morton Joe.
It's in front
There's
of
nothing
sweetheart.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the girl shows him kindness, so they become, but so they fall in love, and then he helps them out during the nighttime sequence.
Mhm.
Which yeah, it's kind of like old school corny movie as it is. Like it works. I'm like you like Nux throughout this movie. They're
Yeah.
like yeah. Plus they're doing their mission of changing the world through like different ways other than power and control. Right.
Mhm. True. True.
Anyway, that's just me defending that scene. So they go they go to it. Which by the way, did anyone notice it's shot like view from the rear view mirror or the rear window?
Oh yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, no. Oh, I'm sorry, Ian, go ahead.
No. I was recognizing. Yeah. You're right. Huh. Huh.
Anyway, movies. So so they pull up with the only tree we've seen outside of Morton Morton
Mhm.
Joe's lair.
Mhm.
And they're able to escape after the bullet after we get that cool thing of like Max going into the desert and presumably having killed Bullet Farmer and getting all his stuff and
Mhm.
blowing up his car in the meantime, which is what he was laying those traps for
Yeah.
in that sequence of getting a boot. It's great. And finding out what the fuck Mother's Milk is.
Oh God.
Be like, what the fuck is this? um Anyway, I love the Bullet Farmer. Then they pass by one of the coolest shots in the movie that they don't really explain, but you kind of have to infer.
Mhm.
Like it's the people walking on stilts through the salt bed.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. The eerie crones in like draping black
yeah,
walking on stilts through the mud. It's a captivating image. It's one of my favorite
it's
shots of the
sick.
movie.
It's sick, and they
It's
don't
sick.
even fully explain it. You just have to kind of infer that's what that is
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
like a line later in the movie.
The,
Um, oh, go
the
ahead.
some witchy thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well, I'll talk about it right now. But
Yeah.
Nick had mentioned while we were watching the movie, it's inspired by the Salvador Dali painting elephants.
Oh, that
Uh,
makes sense. I see
yeah,
it.
I would also although I was looking that up, Nick. Um, there might also be it might also be inspired by like a Hieronymus Bosch painting
Ooh.
where a character
Okay.
is using stilts that look like that.
In
But
hell
like,
somewhere.
yeah, we would just have to ask the fucking set designer or it's George Miller or something. Unless if you know they said in an interview, Nick, I could look it up later.
Makes sense. Maybe so.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure. I think it was
Okay.
just like one of those things that was mentioned, but yeah, never
Yeah.
confirmed.
Oh fuck, we didn't talk about the daughter's death.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Which is what really stops.
that's the whole point.
Yeah, the one that is pregnant.
Oh no.
oh,
Oh
no.
no! Oh, it's so good. I know that's inspired by a painting, but I couldn't find it. I was looking for it before we were hopping on. So if
Mm.
anyone knows, I know it's a classical painting. Anyway, yeah. So she dies after a really sick car flip to dodge her out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the cool thing of the C-section, which again to show kind of like it's that misogynistic thing where they could probably save her because she looks
But they
kind
want
of
the
fine,
baby.
but they want the baby.
Yeah.
So they kill her in the process, and they get a stillborn.
Yeah.
The baby was gone anyway.
Yeah.
Which we get the organic mechanic, that great scene of him spinning the umbilical cord.
Oh god.
With Erectus saying, "I had a baby brother. It was perfect in every way." Anyway, that scene's great, but also like to drive home the feminist. Yeah. So they get to fucking pylon,
Mm-hmm.
which is the most different thing you've seen in this movie, because that means at one point there was electricity that they're using, and you get that great line of Tom Hardy saying that's bait.
Yes, the meme.
Yeah, the meme. And then we meet the old ladies who used to run the green place, and then you find out. Oh, go ahead.
And I was literally, I think, saying the same thing. And we find out what happened to the green place thereafter.
The soil went sour. The water dried up.
Yeah.
Which is what, like, you can kind of infer those old, like, those stilt walkers
were doing.
Because they couldn't touch the ground because it was bad.
Yeah.
So you get that real nice, tragic scene of Furiosa. Again, very classical. Like, the hero's like reward was, or the hero's goal was always out of reach.
Yeah.
And then as we'll play into the feminist theme later, we got to remember that. And then we get that line of 162 days that way. All salt, meaning the ocean's there. But also that's a great moment for Max, because Max has been, every time he's helped someone, it's turned out tragic in the past 3 movies.
Yes.
In Fury Road, he loses the child, as we see. Thunderdome, he's not able to save any of them, I think.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. It's been a long time since I watched these movies. And the whole time we've been getting flashbacks of, obviously, like, PTSD flashbacks that have been affecting fighting, and, like, just remembering people who he's failed in this world, which has made him really, like, kind of cut off from
others,
and kind of creates that great dynamic of, like, I'm only with you guys because this is obviously my choice of survival.
Yeah.
Like, my chance of survival and getting away from whatever is the Morton Joe thing.
Right.
That world going on. So now he's chosen to stay with the fight and, like, to help him out. To do something good, right? To cause change.
And to help them liberate, so on and so forth.
Yeah. We'll have to go back that way.
Yeah.
Which means, like, the car chase has now taken a U-turn and they're going back.
Yes.
And then we get just an amazing fucking sequence. One of the best car chases, if not the best car chase in any movie. Hands down.
Yeah.
I can't think. Like, let's say if you have been following this podcast and you've just watched the movies that we've been talking about, which is weird. You hadn't watched any other.
What weird 11-year-old is only taking their...
Yeah.
only watch what they tell me to
like,
watch.
But Chris, the best car chase is the truck scene from Fast and Furious 1.
I mean...
It's like, what if I told you Fury Road did that times 100, times 1,000,000?
Yeah.
It was way better. They have, oh my god, dude. And then you want to talk about practical effects?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'll just get into the 2 big ones, right? I'm looking at the time.
Yeah.
Amazing car chase. It's just something you have to witness. It really fucking is. Like, you have to watch that. You have to go, that is why I go to movies. Right? To watch something that I can't experience in any other medium.
Yeah.
So the two big ones, and if you guys have any other moments from this car chase, please jump in. I'm
Sure.
going to talk about the truck flipping at the end. But
Sure.
the first one, the only other one I'm going to talk about is the pole vaulting scenes.
That's so
When that
suck.
shot pans over, I remember the first time I saw that in theaters, and I was losing my fucking shit because I went, "That's the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen. That's insane. That's crazy for these cars." And it turns out, that's all real. Those
Oh,
people, those people are Cirque du Soleil
shit.
gymnasts who are doing that on those poles.
Good lord.
And they're just snatching people off cars. It's crazy. That seems crazy.
Ah,
Any other moments of that car chase you want to talk about before I talk about the ending, which is the flip? So I feel like I've been talking
uh,
for a while. Going a mile
go
a
for
minute.
it, Nick. I mean, what do you think? I'm mostly just yes anding. Like I love that scene. I do love when Max like yanks the thing out of a steering column
Oh yeah,
that that thing like I mean that's all fucking gravy, man. What about you, man?
But yeah, I think it's awesome. I think it's like such a great, um, yeah, no, it's such a great scene of like escalation, but also like kind of bringing together, sort of just the the two conflicts together.
mm-hmm.
I think it's just
Mhm.
such an awesome, yeah, because it's weird because there's so much to like break down with especially with that scene.
Mhm.
But I think overall, like I think that's kind of what made it like the best Mad Max thing, or like one of the best action. Um,
Yeah, it's up there for
yeah,
me.
one of the best action films I've seen ever. Even now, like
Mhm.
nearly 10 years later,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like,
Mhm.
yeah, no, just having that, and just like the way they were chasing each other, and like the shots of them going back and forth from the car to the back of the bus, the back of the truck, and kind of showing, and you have that like anxiousness, tension of like, oh, who's gonna like get there first, and
Yeah,
I
everyone. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I would boil down. I agree with you, Nick. I would boil it down
Mm-hmm.
to what's done wonderfully here is what's done wonderfully in a lot of action movies, which is you need to be able to tell us a story through motion,
Yeah,
and
yeah. That's why it
he's
works in a
fucking
movie so
doing it.
fucking well.
Yeah, yeah. A movie, guys, a motion picture. It's imagine that, but no, but
Imagine.
genuinely, like to have such long stretches of a movie that have no dialogue or really even the ones that some of them you don't really even need any dialogue to
No,
follow what's going on.
no,
You know.
absolutely. You're following
Yeah.
the logic like perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's why this movie is like one. It's super fucking smart, and but it's if anything else, it's efficient.
Oh yeah. Oh
Every
yeah.
single thing in this movie does something, and it's all to add to like the characters, the message, and the fucking action happening on the movie, so that you're never lost about anyone's like decision
Yeah.
that they're
Yeah.
doing or choice that they're
Yeah.
making. Um, yeah, man, it's like yeah, and everyone gets it, and this is kind of the sequence where you get your reward with every character on the team because almost
Mm,
everyone gets their moment. I think the old lady
yeah.
with the seeds gets hers as and the obvious passing down. Um, the one who is obviously like obsessed with like literature, the one with the wispy hair.
Yeah.
She has a moment that I never picked up upon until we were watching it again,
Mm,
and she's doing like that. You remember that line where they're asking like, "So are are you praying? What are you praying to?"
right.
And she goes, "Anything that's listening." She's doing
Yeah.
five different prayer hands like hand signs in a
Oh,
row.
okay.
She's doing this forward, this. She's doing the head weave, the forward. She's doing like a bunch of different prayers that she probably learned from the like the schooling, the old lady
Yeah. Yeah.
who's been teaching
Yeah.
her. Zoe Kravitz gets a not like great use of the scope, um, and shots. A lot of those ladies get that you meet in the green place get some great headshots in. then some crazy motorcycle flips. That standoff where she gets ran over um by her villain.
Immortan Joe.
Morning, Joe. Yeah, sorry, fucking my brain. I was about to say Lord Erectus again, but I just keep liking it. By the way, the full name is Rectus Erectus, so it's just great. It's 100%. It's a great name. Don't change.
It's
Okay.
gold. No notes. Hey
No
guys,
notes, golden. I know exactly who that character is.
George Miller is
Yeah.
the opposite George to Lucas. He's
Yeah.
perfect at naming things.
He really.
So, Chris, I want to ask
Yeah.
this whole time,
Mhm.
when you watch a lot of these scenes that are definitely worthy of praise,
Uh-huh.
do you watch them and think, "Man, this is such a crazy reference to Space Jam 2"?
Yeah. I was like, man, they just ripped it off 10 years. They just saw into the future and went, yeah, we gotta do it.
That's so.
Amazing.
I was just watching Austin Powers, and I thought the exact same thing. I was like,
Yeah,
"What?
same thing.
This
I
is
was
the
just watching
same
The Good, the
joke."
Bad, the Ugly. Maltese Falcon.
It's just
Space Jam 2 doesn't feel real. You guys think about that? You guys ever think of I
Yeah.
watched that movie. We watched that movie.
I can't even
I
call it a
know.
movie. Like,
I watched it, and I had someone describe it before. Someone straight up spoil every single
Yeah.
thing. I still didn't understand what was happening while I was watching it. It
We gotta talk about that movie at some other point. I'm looking at the time. We gotta go.
no worries. No worries.
All I'll say is it's one of the few movies in that I've ever watched where I felt like I can feel my anxiety raising just from editing. I felt it was so uncomfortable. Oh my god. Whatever.
We'll get right back into it. One thought. Danny DeVito's the Penguin should not be at a basketball game. It's so fucked up. What are you guys thinking?
The Joker's there, I think. Anyway.
Two Jokers.
Oh yeah, there's two
Clockwork
Jokers.
Orange.
I forgot about it. Anyway, that
Okay.
fucking movie.
Push
all
past,
the
push past.
properties.
All the characters get their moment. In fact, you even get a small character art with one of the daughters, one of the breeders, trying to run back to
Yeah, the
Immortan
one who's
Joe.
like, maybe he'll forgive us if we go
Yeah.
back now. He'll take us back, etc., etc.
to have a nice little switcheroo at the end where she actually gets him on the car.
Yeah,
They take his car, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And then you get a great heroic sacrifice with Nux and the best witness me in the fucking movie.
yeah.
And it's like, it's no longer about the gods witnessing me. It's about you,
Her.
the people I care about, witnessing me.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
fucking anime shit, dude. Like,
It's the friends we made along the
it
journey.
is. It's the friend. And then it's the coolest car crash you have ever seen.
Oh, just take a shit.
Which is 100% well, not 100%, but it is practical. They flipped that fucking truck.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it's that stunt. If not, it may have been something with flamethrowers. But I think it was that stunt where they didn't know if they could do it. And in fact, like, until a week out, which is like, oh, we're just going to have to CG the truck flipping over. Like, without anyone dying.
Right.
Right?
Right.
To flip it over, have all those car crashes in that one valley. Until like a week before, the practical effects people ran up to George Miller while like a recording. And he went, we figured it out.
Yeah.
We can do it. And I think it's all in one shot.
That's amazing.
I think it's like the most expensive shot in that fucking movie.
Mm-hmm.
Is that truck flipping over. That guitar just...
I mean, money well spent. What else can you say?
Oh my god, dude. It's so amazing. It's like, and then you get the scene, the heroes are home. The dictator is dead.
Yep.
They show the body and everything.
Yep.
Oh, which by the way, that face rip. Yeah, you get the two best witness me. In a row. You get the face mask ripping off, and it's so fucking brutal. Like,
yeah.
It's weirdly brutal compared to everything else in the movie. It's so visceral. You see it go under tires and shit. and then
Mhm.
followed by Nux's. It's great.
Yeah.
Great. It's a perfect thing. Fucking the heroes come home. Everyone's happy. It's been
Everyone gets
overthrown.
the water.
Water flows,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they've now gone into it.
We are the road that is fury.
10 out of 10 movie. What the fuck else you want? It's a perfect movie.
It's a surprise. Well, I'll say this. My first time going into it, I wasn't sure how much I was going to like it. I was
wasn't either. Sorry, I
and
went a little Seinfeld on that. Keep going.
you're making fun of me. No, this is how I sound like when I cry.
Are my daughters gone? No. They just went for a walk. No.
It's such a tight runtime. I genuinely agree. I feel like every single bit of this rips. It goes. It builds and builds and builds. And we talked about this in our episode about Fast and Furious 1. It's like the build up to that big curse smash is so satisfying.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Beautiful catharsis for that for us. I loved it.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Yeah, you get that shot of Mad Max is going to go on an adventure again. But I guess he didn't, because it's been 9 years, and now we're getting a prequel.
We're gonna. Well, I don't know. Maybe we'll get an anime this time. Who knows?
We got a comic book. I haven't read the comic book.
Nor I.
But I've seen art from it. The art's sick.
Oh,
I'll send it to you. I have some of it as like wallpaper.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So when you get our ending, we get it's almost like a Return of the Jedi, like fucking Ewoks might be dead. Well, by the way, that was something I didn't talk about this movie, because they filmed it in Australia. Just shout outs to everyone with a physical deformity getting work in Australia.
Hell yeah.
Because they get some, which is really cool. Like, get some work in this movie.
Get it,
world, and it feels good. It doesn't feel like they're a punchline or either. It feels like, no, that's the world like we're in.
Yeah.
I think maybe what the comedy could be with that is that they're Australian.
Yes.
That was a
that's a cruel irony that none of us can help. That's the only thing to do is to laugh. Yes.
But anyway, we did a big rush down the movie. I'm looking at time, so we got to get into falling action, which is what. Okay, so what's our takeaway? What'd you get? What'd you get out of it?
Like action movies before Fury Road, after Fury Road, they kind of sucked for a while until like.
I agree, dude.
A couple years ago, like a year ago.
What the fuck?
It's kind of crazy.
Even Avengers, like it's not as good.
I feel like the next big action, and this is just my hazy end of their mind, but the next big action scene, I remember people saying, "Oh, what satisfying shit is when the Tenant directed some episodes of Daredevil, and they did those hallway fights in season 1."
Which is just the old boy scene.
Exactly. But it was. I think that was the next moment I can remember people's like appetites being somewhat whetted. Of here's some classic,
maybe the John Wick movies.
Oh yeah.
But it's different taste. It's almost like, because like especially some of the later, like it almost becomes goofy, but like you love the goofiness of it.
Yeah,
and it's amazing, and it serves that movie.
Yeah.
Very different types of action, but those I would argue were the more satisfying ones.
Yeah, because my favorite John Wick, or at least where I think it's the most interesting, like choreography wise, isn't until like 4. Is until like the last one. I haven't
watched 4 yet.
Oh, 4's awesome. Yeah, and again, like between after Mad Max Fury Road, like say 2015 up until before Everything Everywhere All at Once and RR come out.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
The same year. I felt like that year was making up for that dry spell.
Yeah, because like Marvel movies had replaced action movies essentially.
All those shaky, blurry,
except for like John Wick.
Yeah.
I loved it because back then with Marvel movies, it's like, yo, Winter Soldier, dude, he fucking the knife midair and then stabbed him, and he stabbed Captain America. He wasn't prepared for that. Like, oh, he's a bad. He's watch out for this guy. Like, he's doing non-American moves.
Yeah. Yeah, and then RR would just come out and blow every other action movie.
Destroyed.
Ooh, that's a question then, Chris.
Yeah.
Which one had better action, Mad Max or RR?
Two
why would you
completely
do that?
different. Oh, dude, I don't know. They're superhuman in RR.
Yeah, they have superpowers.
Yeah, they are like superheroes. Like at
the end of that, they're stand-ins for deities, like literal.
Yeah, their gods come alive. Like essentially.
Yeah.
Their gods come to Earth. It's even in the music.
Well, yeah. The implication is these gods have got new avatars.
Yeah.
Who will fight the British?
Like fight the British and free India.
What a good movie!
What a great fucking. We should all rewatch RR.
Yeah, honestly,
I keep telling
3 hours
that we should just rewatch RR. Oh man, yeah. So Nick, yeah, no, because you were talking about that. Ian, what'd you get out of it?
I got as you said, like a great movie that I've never seen a movie sugar the medicine so good that like people
to talk about the medicine.
People, well, because my exposure to it was people who I might know in my real life who maybe didn't share some of those values, and then like 2 years afterwards were like, fucking, did you realize that movie is about women like doing things?
Yeah, I saw that movie 4 times and I was like, this movie's about women.
That's relatable.
It's so fun. I guess in the sense that I do think that George Miller has gotten, and maybe actually got some people to think about the most basic kind of feminism, the most basic kind of like we should treat the earth with respect, past like some folks who just were so closed off to it that like, no, this is the way you get them. You get them with this.
You get them with cars, explosions, and metal, and fucking
men's men being manly.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're totally right. Sugar with medicine. It's a weirdly deep movie, like because the message. Well, you said like basic, and I don't think you mean that like a derogatory sense, but like a basic form of feminism, like founding blocks.
Well, yes, foundational in the sense of we all think that women shouldn't be belongings, right, guys? Yeah. That's bad.
But also, oh, good.
And yeah, to genuinely have somebody have to confront, like, yeah, I guess I wouldn't, like, in my real life, chase my wife over 3 states if she were real mad at me, I guess. Okay, George Miller. Yeah. It became Mr. Mackey at the end. I'm sorry.
No. But like you get that really good, like profound. Well, I think it's profound message because it's something I try to live by. Where it's like there is no. They call it the green place, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the only place in this world that's green. Yeah. But it also kind of harkens back to the old saying of like the grass is always greener.
Yeah.
Which more or less like you could keep hunting for that, but what you thought of as the best like of times doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And 2, you don't fucking know if it is. What you have what you have access to this situation right now, you have to change yourself. You have to take action to make it better.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad it's that.
Yeah.
And it's not just make the best out of the situation, because that is not at all what this movie is saying. This movie is you got to take it by your own hands and change it.
It's you got to take it by your own hands and change it. And if not, you could be facing extinction.
Yeah.
For real, guys. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you don't do it, no one will.
Yeah.
Because you're the only one that knows it's a problem type deal.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. What a great fucking movie, dude. It's like everything I aspired to be in like writing or storytelling, in that you you present this great entertaining story
Yeah.
with just a profound message hidden beneath. Like all the meanwhile, you're seeing the greatest things you've ever seen on like a screen.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking love this movie. I'm so glad it stood up to like the gap.
Yeah.
Still in my top 10 movies of all time. This is a Chris movie, like without a doubt.
It's a beautiful flick, guys.
Yeah.
If you're listening and you haven't seen it, like nothing we say is really going to touch the visual pleasure you're going to get. Just watch it. Just watch it. It's beautiful.
Just watch this fucking movie. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect movie. I kept making the joke to my sister because she really liked Dune, and while I like Dune, I think she liked it way more than I did. We had that whole conversation. We all like Dune. We just don't like it as much as people are liking it.
Yeah.
That I went, I'm so glad we got the Virgin Dune out of the way so we can get our Chad real desert sci-fi with Furiosa and cars and explode and metal. And then she would always be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Then she saw this movie and was kind of like, oh yeah, okay, I get what you're saying.
As foretold.
Yeah, as foretold. Yes, I know that movie is probably going to be about how power corrupts absolutely no matter what, and that working within the system is a failure. But George Miller did that with cars and explosions, and it was great. It was like,
yeah, he didn't have a son who wrote like really weird sequels after.
Yeah. George Miller doesn't
I'm not
have
talking about like, but yeah, you're right.
What was up with those? Like I read 2 and I was like, what's going on?
I don't know, Nick.
Man?
Every time you've described those books to me, it sounds like the craziest fucking shit in the world.
It
sounds like it ruins his like dad's books.
Yeah, I kind of wish that like he hates the sun, or like he hates being outside. It's weird.
I kind of wish that the Dune writer had a similar setup as the estate of J.R.R. Tolkien, and Christopher Tolkien just fucking ruined it. Just like, oh no, and there's new elves who live on the South Pole and they're very small. Ugh, Dad, you'd love this.
Yeah,
anyway,
you would love it. Okay, so let's get into our recommendations for next time. We gotta roll out.
Yeah, right.
Get out of here. Before we get into closing statements.
Okay.
Oh well, I'll do the quick sign off before we talk about like No, let's do recommendations first.
Okay.
Nick, what would you recommend to people who liked Mad Max Fury Road or who listened to this and like this podcast?
I think if you like both,
yes,
and you want to have some closure,
yes,
to the fact of Furiosa not being the anime, George Miller, and forgetting his name because I am very professional. The intended anime director, Mahiro Maeda. He was one of those. All you need to know is that he's one of those guys that was always there for all the Gainax stuff, like working on Neon Genesis, and later would do like a sci-fi take on the Count of Monte Cristo, which is fantastic.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's like it's pretty much like the Count of Monte Cristo set in like the year 5000, and it's fucking wild.
That's cool.
Really good, great show. With that said, I think with in terms of recommendations, I would definitely recommend. Yeah, just that whole seeing like kind of how Mad Max, as itself, like influenced that specific era of anime. With like desert punk becoming a thing.
Yeah.
Which is a less, I would say, less intense, but it's definitely less crushing or darker. It's more just like, at some point it did become like aesthetic. So like Oban racing or like,
yeah. It's not like, it doesn't become so nihilistic that the beauty in the Mad Max world are connecting with people and trying to do better with what we got.
Yeah.
Or the world, or with the world the way it is.
Yeah. So I think in terms of recommendations, I recommend that, or I recommend the Count of Monte Cristo, Gankutsu, which is what sort of like visually they kind of were leaning towards for Furiosa's anime series with George Miller. So I think it'd be a cool reference point to kind of see what could have been in terms of like directing style and kind of the way the anime and sort of like Mahito like blends a lot of like Western imperialism. I'm sorry, impressionism and a lot of this weird dystopian like surreal place. And yeah, again, I would definitely recommend that. Yeah, Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
I'm gonna have to check it out. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something we'll probably check. We'll talk about once we watch Furiosa,
Mm.
Yeah.
which is like this movie's been talked about since Fury Road came out,
Mhm. Yeah.
and has taken on many forms,
Yeah.
including I believe I'm gonna look it up, but I believe it was a play at one time.
Oh,
Which
okay.
I don't fucking know how they would they would do a car chase scene.
That's
As much.
crazy.
So I'm gonna look that up. But that's good. That's a good one, Nick. Ian, what would you recommend?
Yeah. So I wanted to recommend another George Miller project that you might like. I know that we've already talked about 3,000 Years of Longing on the
Yes.
pod. So I've decided I didn't really. Again, we talked about Babe. He's got a
Babe in Big
diverse
City.
career. I didn't know he did The Witches of Eastwick with
I didn't know that.
Cher, Michelle Pfeiffer, Susan Sarandon, Jack Nicholson, based on a
Yeah.
John Updike novel. There's Homunculi, there's Voodoo. That was a Mom and Me kind of flick from back
Okay.
in the day. I do remember watching that movie a few times.
Yeah.
But I also want to recommend, and I'm looking at his IMDb. I was looking at it earlier. George Miller also directed one of my favorite segments from the Twilight Zone movie, 1983. He remade the segment that was based on Captain Kirk's episode. He did the Terror at 20,000 feet for the
Okay.
Twilight Zone.
Mhm.
But
I didn't know
with
that
John
was
Lithgow.
him.
Yeah, it
That's
was
cool.
John Lithgow and playing the
Greatest
part,
actor of all time.
the greatest living stage presence of our age. Yeah, if you all haven't seen The Witches of Eastwick, if you haven't seen the Twilight Zone movie, that one has a buck wild backstory that would be fun to talk about someday. But yeah.
All right.
What about you, man?
Well, Nick already touched upon the desert punk thing that it would spur to influence. I cannot emphasize to people enough what kind of impact the original Mad Max movies had on culture and art. Like once it landed, especially in Japan. So might I recommend one that we can say took inspiration from Mad Max, and I would recommend Fist of the North Star.
I
Ooh,
was trying to avoid that because that's such an obvious, but
And
it's
if
the best answer.
if
that's a
you
good
like
answer.
Fist of the North Star, might I recommend something that also took, let's just say, inspiration from, and say JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Oh
I
yeah.
blew my sister's mind like when I told her about that. That those two things would not exist. Or no, I told her, hey, JoJo wouldn't exist without Mad Max,
That's true.
and
That's
I
true.
gave her the whole spiel. And if you don't believe me, you should
Look
watch
at
both of those things.
yeah.
And then you should look at Jonathan's outfit that he gets at the end of that at the end of that first part.
Yeah.
Yes. And then watch the original Mad Max movies. Like I said, the first one I think is the weakest one. But
Yeah.
boy is Road Warrior so fucking cool. And so is Beyond Thunderdome. But yeah, that'll do it. That's a podcast. So next time we have the month of May planned out. On the 15th, we will be doing the fourth installment of the Fast and the Furious. The year of Fast and Furious continues.
Yep.
Which I believe is called The Fast and the Furious. Instead of
Yes.
Fast.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Confusing. So the fourth movie in that 10 movie span.
Whew.
And then the last podcast of the month for May will be Furiosa. So
Can't wait. I
watch
can't wait,
when
guys.
you can. Watch. I can't wait either. I'm gonna see if I can afford to spring for those 4D tickets. I want to be launched out of my seat when a car explodes. I want to come out like a different person. Like when that movie. I'm hoping it's good, man. It's been a while. Been a
Been a minute.
while. But George Miller has directed stuff, so he still has his chops, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think they've gone away. He'll also be in Death Stranding, too,
Oh,
which is weird. Yeah, he's in that trailer. We don't know what he's gonna be doing, but that's him. So,
interesting.
yeah, that's a
Mhm.
podcast. That's a podcast.
Yay.
What would your Mad Max names be if you were?
Oh, that's a
It's
good
Good
question.
way to sign off. Good way to sign off. I
Uh,
have no clue. It has to be something kind of sexual, but like dumb at the same time.
see, I was thinking like something with first son because of my last like something like
Mm.
like but
But it would be
everything
spelled S-U-N or something.
ooh, I like that. That's pretty good.
Ian the first son.
Adam the first son, something
First
like that.
son.
I don't know.
Adam's
Yeah.
the first
Man
son.
of the Wall.
Man
Man
of the Wall. That's pretty good.
Man of the-
Well, just a fucking Game of Thrones
Nice.
thing.
No,
Are
it'd
there
be
people called
like
Men of the Wall? I haven't watched Game of Thrones.
no.
Not really.
Okay, Man of the Wall. Man of the Wall is pretty good.
Man of the wall. Yeah. What about you, man? Yeah.
The Dust Cropper.
God damn it.
Because you fart really loud, or
Not like Corsus Colossum or like
No, it's my car is so big it creates a dust storm
Mhm.
wherever I go. But also, it's a fart joke.
Van Defrins. It's kind of sexual,
Ooh.
and it's like, yeah,
Van
that could be
Def.
it.
I'd
Would
be
it be
like-
Dust Cropper or Crop Duster? No, Dust Cropper. I like that one.
I thought you called yourself
More
Bullet Heaven
violent.
or something like that.
Call me
First,
Bullet Heaven.
Bullet
Bullet.
Heaven's good.
Bullet Heaven's pretty good.
Oh, but it's got to be like Bullet Joe or something. Like Bullet.
Oh,
Hollow Point Chris.
Cock and Bullet.
Well Water.
Well water.
That's the
Well
winner.
water.
That's the winner.
Oh, we Well Water.
Bullet Farmer.
Bullet Farm. Bullet Farm is so good, dude. Like that's. Oh, Bullet Farm. More than Joe. Like, fucking dude, those names. And then Organic Mechanic is like genius. That's what I'm gonna call my doctor from now on. Okay, we gotta go.
All right.
Bye.
Okay. Bye. Get out of here.